Hey, it's Pastor David. I'm here to talk about our Thursday at 3, and today it's Charge Conference. If you're new to the Methodist Way, you may not know that Charge Conference means business meeting. It's kind of a code for a family business meeting. And this Saturday at 10 o'clock, our church will participate in our Fall Charge Conference, or family business meeting of the fall. There are very specific things that will be on the agenda. The agenda is public, and I want to tell you about them so you're informed, but I need to say a little about Charge and Conference and when they happen and who can participate. Charge Conference means that the charge can vote, the charge being the elected leaders on a leadership board of the church council, clergy and retired clergy. That's the charge of the church, according to the discipline or guidebook of the Methodist Church. At the Charge Conference, anyone can participate. Anyone is welcome. It's an open meeting. Anyone can ask questions, make comments. But when it comes to the vote, the charge, who has been elected by our church, votes on our behalf. That's a little different from a church conference. When you hear the word church conference, that also is a family business meeting. But at a church conference, all the members of the church can vote. Now, everyone is welcome. Everyone can participate. But when it comes to a vote, the church members vote. And 9 out of 10 times in our work at First United Methodist Church, we conduct church conferences. We try the best we can. I can only think of one charge conference out of all the different family business meetings we've had in the 9 years I've been here. Now, church conferences and charge conferences can happen any time of the year to take care of things before our family, such as taking out a loan or purchasing property, by permission of the district superintendent. Every fall, though, there is an annual charge conference that is called by the district superintendent to address 4 specific things. And so Saturday, we will be gathering at Lakeside United Methodist Church in Sanford at 10 o'clock, along with a number of other churches, to hold our annual fall charge conference. Again, everyone is welcome, but it will be a vote of the charge. It's together with other churches because our district superintendents now oversee 80 churches. And you can imagine having to do business meetings for 80 churches in the fall. It would be chaos. And so they put several together. And because of this, there are a number of reports that are turned in that go along with what's presented. There's a report on our finances in terms of what are our processes and procedures to make sure all of our checks and balances are in place. There's a report on the property to make sure we're keeping up with the liability and insurance and so forth on the property. These are filed. But then there are 4 public agenda items that will be covered. And first of all, we will be electing lay leaders for the coming year. In the Methodist Church, we share leadership, meaning that we have clergy and staff. We also are led by lay folks like yourself to be about making disciples for the transformation of the world. In our church, a large church, there are 24 different ministry teams and committees, about 150 different lay leaders who are involved in leading the various ministries of our church, from children's to youth to jobs partnership to our preschools to our finance committee to our diversity, equity, and inclusion committee to the Hannah Circle, the Ruth Circle, just 24 of those different teams that help us be a church family. And we elect the leaders to those. Nominating team puts together a slate. The teams are divided into 3 classes, rotating 1/3 every year, and they're elected every year by the church at church or charge conference. And that will happen this coming Saturday. Second, the salaries of the pastors are voted upon. In the Methodist Church, the salaries of the pastors are public information. There's nothing hidden about it. Our total compensation package is up for vote on an annual basis. You'll recall that this past year, because our budget process took a little longer, we did not decide the pastor salaries. This is done by the Staff Parish Relations Committee. Was not decided by Staff Parish till the middle of 2023. We wanted to make sure the budget was in place first. And so we just voted for the 2023 salaries for the pastors. We will not be changing those salaries for 2024 at this time. We want to make sure we get through the budget. If Staff Parish decides at the end of the year that they would adjust those pastor salaries, we would ask permission to hold a church conference in the spring to change those salaries. But at this point, there'll be no change in the pastor's salaries voted upon on Saturday. Third, I want to mention that we also vote on any who are going into ministry, going into the calling of being a pastor, or those that are called to be certified lay leaders. We have a training course for lay people that serve a special function in the church to lead and to speak and go through training. That is voted upon, and then anybody in the ministry process for ordination. Ordination is a long process. It takes several years. It starts at the local church. It moves to the district. The superintendent moves to the conference, voted on by all the clergy in the conference. It starts in the local church because it's felt the local church knows that person best. And so anybody that's currently in that process from our church will be part of our agenda on Saturday. Finally, we will vote on those we're seeking to remove from the membership rolls. That also is a process. It's a 2-year process. These are folks that we've tried to reach by phone or by mail, email, have not been able to get in touch with them. They have not been around for a while. And so we post a list of those we've tried to reach, see if anybody knows where they are, what they like to do. We'd love to retain them. But if they're not reachable and they're not interested, then there's a process to remove them. It's a 2-year process. And so those in the second year of that process will be voted on that Saturday's meeting. So the question for me is, as we've done, this will be my 30-second charge conference as an ordained pastor. What does this have to do with making disciples? I just really am chewing on that this year. What does this have to do with making disciples or followers of Jesus for the transformation of the world? And I think it goes back to the fact that when we become a follower of Jesus, we become a part of the body of Christ, of which the local church is the local representation of that body. This past Sunday in my sermon, I talked about Paul's letter, or the letter to the Ephesians, and it talks about how the church was given by Christ to equip the saints for work of service, so that we all grow up into unity in the faith and knowledge of God and become mature. That the church is there to help us grow in our maturity in the image of Christ until we all reach the full measure of the stature of Christ. And so items like transparency, the transparency of this pastor's salaries is a part of that process. Helping people find their place of service, electing lay leaders, is a part of the discipleship work. Finding a way to care for those that we've not been in touch with, going through a process of trying to reach them, and if they're not interested or they're unreachable, helping us refine and realign our resources to do greater work, more effective work in making disciples is part of the discipleship process. And so Saturday is about making disciples, about working on the system of making disciples at the local church. I'm grateful for our leaders that we will elect. We've got a full slate, and I'm grateful for those in our charge that we're there to vote. Grateful for anyone who'd like to come and join us as we celebrate God's kingdom and God's presence Saturday at 10 o'clock, Lakeside United Methodist Church in Sanford. In the meantime, God bless.